Well, how you doing? Are you working for the weekend? Hey, it's your good friend, it's your pal, it's your compadre, it's TC, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. This is Rock This Town Live. We are here every Monday through Friday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 Central and 5 on the West Coast. It is Saturday and pretty much the rest of the world at this point. But yeah, in America, we're rocking it, baby. What's going on the big show today? Well, we're talking a little bit about Van Halen because Van Halen is wonderbar. We'll relive the past actually with some Van Halen. Also, I don't know if you're a fan of Madden, the video game. I haven't bought Madden in probably like 10 or 11 years. It's been a long time just because there's no competition. The product never really improves because Electronic Arts, EA Sports, it's in the game, has an exclusive license. We'll talk about the soundtrack for Madden coming up. There you go. Also, a little bit on Sharon Osbourne and the Back to the Beginning proceeds and what's going to happen there. Let's see. Some new music that came out this weekend. We'll talk about that, or actually today. Belinda Carlisle. I never get a chance to talk about Belinda Carlisle, but I do today. And then there's some vinyl announcements. And then, of course, there's some tour announcements. And then finally, my vinyl of the day is this bad boy. And it is the recent reissue of Here by Trixter. We'll talk about that. And I do have it in my hand. So there you go. All right. I always like to start the show with reliving the past, and I put this in the wrong spot. How in the hell did that happen? Oh, I'm way in the wrong spot. Okay, here we go. Little sneak preview, I suppose. Van Halen and let me lower this down a little bit. Thank you. Van Halen did the tour in 2015. As we talked about in yesterday's show, Rush's final tour was in 2015, while Van Halen's final tour was in 2015. So it's going to be 10 years coming up on October 4th when we last saw Eddie Van Halen on stage officially with Alex and Dave. Of course, Wolfgang was the bass player in that, no Michael Anthony. I don't know. There was a tour. What was the year? I think Def Leppard did, what was that year? Def Leppard in Vegas. What years were they in Vegas? I'm trying to figure this out because Def Leppard had the Sin City residency. That was, it doesn't tell me the year. Why am I telling you this? Because there is a rhyme to my reason. And it's the last time they were in Vegas for the residency. Might have been 2018 or 2019. So here's my opinion. Van Halen was going to get the band back together, so to speak, with Michael Anthony. And Def Leppard and Van Halen were going to go out on a stadium tour. So what happened there is, unfortunately, Edward got sick, and then unfortunately we lost Eddie. And as a result, Def Leppard basically had a year off where they've kind of constantly toured and stuff. It's just been one of those things where they constantly tour. So, but they had a year off. They played the residency in Vegas, which I think was 2018 or 2019. I forget which year it was, where they were doing a lot of stuff, like some deep cuts from Pyromania, which is nice because you're getting, Billy's Got a Gun and Die Hard the Hunter, which is the piece de resistance, in my humble opinion. So, but anyways, I do believe that was supposed to happen because there's all these indications. I know that Michael Anthony has talked about stuff, and even David Lee Roth might have talked about it, and Sammy's talked about it, about kind of a reunion tour, and basically Van Halen. I don't know if it would have been with Sammy, but I'm pretty sure it would have been with Dave, Michael Anthony, the original lineup. And I know they were going to play Yankee Stadium as one of the big dates there, and as it turns out, it didn't happen. So. But yeah, what might have been. And I think they were going to go out with Def Leppard. And then in the end, what happened was Def Leppard then ended up talking Motley Crue out of retirement. So there it is, there it lives. So that's my little Van Halen story. I don't know that's for sure. It's never been confirmed, but you put all the pieces together and it kind of makes sense on the timeline and everything else like that. Cool. All right, cool. Hey, Beat After Beat, always good to see you. You are the best, my friend. How you doing? My favorite Rush albums. Oh, well, I'll talk about that in a second. Beat After Beat's already got his favorite Rush albums ready to go. So I'll talk about that after the news. Let's get to some news. There is a track list that came out for the Madden 2026 release. Like I said, I haven't bought that thing in a long time. I guess it hit stores on August 14th. And if you pay a special fee, you could have had it today. So there you go. But I think the track listing for the rock stuff is pretty good. 311 Down, very nice. Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. Oh, yeah. Come on, baby, now. That's super cool. Dorothy's in there. Electric Callboy, the Foo Fighters, Judas Priest. Another thing coming. Korn and Limp Bizkit make an appearance. A little new metal. And you. A triple bill there with Linkin Park as well. We got Wolfgang Van Halen and Mammoth, Don't Back Down. Very nice. The MC5 featuring Tom Morello. Ooh, Megadeth with Symphony of Destruction. Very nice. Rage Against the Machine, Guerrilla Radio. That's a pretty good Rage song. Rage Against the Machine. It's a little take it or leave it on that, but that's a pretty good song. Shine Down the Warning. And then the one you can't see there below there is the Wolf Mother, which is actually a really good song, The Joker and the Thief. So if you're looking for some kind of new rock that isn't really new, it's been around quite a while, Wolf Mother and The Joker and the Thief is actually a really good song. There's actually a little Metallica in the game as well. For Whom the Bell Tolls, it plays in the stadium when you're during gameplay and stuff. So Metallica does make an appearance as well. Of course, in my mind, there's two soundtracks that everybody's waiting for. Stranger Things 5. Obviously, that comes out. What does that come out on? Thanksgiving? Yes, Thanksgiving. It comes out Thanksgiving. Everybody's expecting a killer soundtrack for Stranger Things because all the soundtracks for Stranger Things have always been killer. All killer, no filler. And then the other big one, as far as soundtracks go, in my mind, is the Grand Theft Auto soundtrack. What's interesting about that, I don't know if any of those records, I think there was like one pressing on vinyl of the Grand Theft Auto in the Grand Theft Auto series. Might have been 3 or 4, did some stuff on vinyl. But yeah, that stuff and obviously vinyl has gotten huge in the 13 years since Grand Theft Auto 5 was released. So anyways, that'll be the interesting track list when Grand Theft Auto 6's track list is announced, and then Stranger Things 5 is mentioned. So there you go. That's and it's a kind of a light news day. There's not much going on, so I'm kind of just kind of trying to find anything here to talk about. And here you go. Here's another one. Back to the Beginning. So Sharon Osbourne has blasted reports that Back to the Beginning raised $190 million for charity. She says it's just ridiculous. So apparently it wasn't as successful as I guess everybody hoped. And the assumption was pretty much all that money was going to go to charity. But now Sharon has also said that all the bands and their expenses, and it'll take, up to 6 weeks to get a final number. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the bands that were there, Tool, Maynard James Keenan, I can't imagine Tool submitting expenses to Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne, or at this point, Sharon Osbourne, just because Tool is a pretty successful band. And I would feel bad if I was a band doing that. I can't imagine Metallica probably sitting there with $365 million in their business account. I can't imagine Metallica at all submitting expenses to go over to Birmingham and play at that. Now, if you're a smaller band that was on the bill, maybe, because it's expensive to travel, and you got to bring equipment and everything like that. So, okay, maybe, but I think that, this is the entertainment industry and concert tickets are so high. I would say bite the bullet, people, bite the bullet and go ahead and just pay your own way. So I know obviously there's the venue, renting the venue, but maybe there's a donation by Aston Villa, the soccer club there. That it's their villa, or it's their venue rather, I should say. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just kind of starting to look at this a little bit like, what's going on now? It wasn't as successful as we hoped, and some of this money is not going to charity, but we'll see. Hopefully it's just a little bit of a miscommunication, and hopefully all the bands are like, forget about it, Sharon. We got it covered. We'll cover it ourselves. Let that money go to Parkinson's research. So There you go. All right, I'll leave it at that. New singles out today. There's a bunch of new singles. Hailstorm, who was at the Aussie tribute, very nice, released a new song called Like a Woman. Very nice. John 5 out with a brand new song called Deviant. Of course, John 5 now playing in that little band they call a Motley Crue, baby. No more Mick Mars, but it is what it is. So let's see. Vince has been out of the band. Tommy's been out of the band. Mick's now out of the band. So last man standing is Nikki, it's kind of Nikki's band in some ways, isn't it? So there you go. Deftones out with a brand new song called Milk of the Madonna. Baby Metal with My Queen. I've never listened to Baby Metal in my life. I don't know if I'm going to start today. I'm just letting you know. And then Glenn Hughes, the fabulously talented Glenn Hughes out with Into the Fade, a brand new song. So I'm sure you can find them all. Well, you can't find them in your local record store because, well, the Deftones, well, no, actually the Deftones record isn't out yet. So, yeah, so I don't think any of these songs are out on vinyl or CD at this point, but coming soon, right? So there you go. A little news there about some new singles. Like I told you, I'm stretching here, man. There's not a lot going on, baby. Come on now. Belinda Carlisle. Anytime I get a chance to talk about sweet Belinda Carlisle, I got to take that chance. I got to take that opportunity. And Belinda Carlisle, I loved her solo stuff. The stuff with the Go-Go's is good, but she obviously had a different look when she was in the Go-Go's. But when she softened that look and went out on her own, that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, Belinda Carlisle says Dua Lipa is embarrassing and sexual for sexualized performances. She says, to quote, "These days, young women in the music industry are just so sexualized. Like, what happened?" Well, kind of, Belinda, I'm not trying to disagree with you by any means, but it's not just in the music industry. It's everywhere. It's, everybody's showing their TNA on TikTok and whatever, trying to get attention, Wait, you accusing me? Well, no, I'm not sexualizing this show. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs to see that. So there's no concern there. So, but anyways, Belinda obviously makes a legitimate point, and I understand it completely. But I mean, look at Madonna back in the day with the Like a Virgin performance at the MTV Music Awards. I mean, come on. As a 14-year-old kid, I was like, all right, let's go. So I had no problem with that. But yeah, I get it that there's a lot of sexualization in hip hop and rap music, and then pop music, especially with women, because women kind of dominate pop music. It's basically the men produce the women. It's kind of like what happened, I guess, in the 90s with Shania Twain and Mutt Lange. Mutt Lange, famous for the AC/DC, Def Leppard. You have been marked not safe from a Mutt Lange reference today. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, Mutt kind of wrote a lot of the music. He produced the records, and then Shania was out there doing her thing. And it's kind of like that. Jack Antonoff and Max Martin and Shellback are the guys behind Taylor Swift in some ways. Not to say that Taylor Swift doesn't have talent, because she clearly does. But then there's other performers that just don't have that much talent. And there's guys behind the scenes doing that. So the guys have kind of taken an approach, in my humble opinion, that's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but the guys are kind of doing it off stage, behind the scenes, and then the young ladies get to be in the spotlight, which is good in some ways, but also bad in other ways. Especially when Dua Lipa drops her mic when she's performing and she still keeps singing. Not a good look, Dua Lipa. So there you go. Very nice. All right, cool. All right, let's check the chat again. Suzanne says that she's at Slaughter, but got my 35th anniversary of Here autograph vinyl today. Super quick. Very nice. Ours was slightly damaged, unfortunately. I'll show that off here soon. But yeah, there you go. That's very cool. And hit that like button. Appreciate that beat after beat. Yeah, Mick Mars. Love Mick Mars. I get the feeling that Mick Mars and Vince Neil did not get along at all. Because I remember seeing an interview with Sammy Hagar and Vince Neil and saying that he's on good terms with everybody in the band. And he says, what about Mick? Because Mick lives in the same city as you do. And Vince Neil's like, okay. So, anyways, there you go. And Beat After Beat says John 5 comes from my old neighborhood, Grosse Pointe, Michigan. Very nice. I saw that movie once, Grosse Pointe Blank, with Johnny Cusack and was Dan Aykroyd in that movie? I don't know why. I don't know why I think that. Let me see here. Grosse Pointe Blank. I'm sure you could answer it quicker than I could find it. 1997 movie starring, Dan Aykroyd was in there. Wow. Talk about a memory, huh? That is crazy. Minnie Driver, Alan Arkin as well. So I saw the movie once. I thought it was pretty good, but then it's like one of these movies that I never really went back and watched again for some reason. It just wasn't that great in my humble opinion, but there you go. Very cool. And Beat After Beat also mentions he hung out with Madonna's brother in the 80s. Very nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. All right, let's get to the best Rush albums. Beat After Beat already has his favorites. Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, Signals, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire, Roll the Bones. There you go. Well, my top 5, I got to go Fly By Night just because I love the cover and I love the Fly By Night away from here. Yeah. By Geddy Lee. It is fantastic. Permanent Waves, classic at number 4. Signals. I really like Signals. I don't know if some people, it might be a little underrated. I think the cover is always great. They did a special edition a couple of years ago, which I thought was fabulous with some different art. So very nice. 2112, of course, very sexy. And then Moving Pictures, got to be number 1 because it's Moving Pictures. Tom Sawyer, Exit the Warrior, Today's Tom Sawyer. Exactly. Very nice. All right, cool. Let's keep going. What's going on as far as new vinyl announcements? Megadeth. This comes out on October 10th. I know I've mentioned this before on the show, but I don't know if it's before the show started or after the show started. I know that makes no sense, but I was doing like test shows for like a month or so just to kind of get the hang of everything, the hang of the system here, the camera, everything. So, but this is, but they did a gold version on their website that sold out right away. And then they did a box set version that sold out right away. So this is what's left for us. This is the silver version of Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. As I talked about on yesterday's show, I got to say that Metallica ruled the 80s when it came to the big 4, in my humble opinion. But in the 90s, I'm going Megadeth all the way there, baby. Slayer had their place. Anthrax had their place. But when in the 80s, okay, got to give it to Metallica because those first 4 records are just amazing. And then in the 90s, though, the 5 records that Megadeth put out, oof, maron, they are sexy. So, but this was from 85, I think. Killing Is My Business. That was the first Megadeth record. Good record, but I prefer Peace Sells, of course. So there you go. Not too shabby. Coming out on September 26th, this is Whitesnake. What is this? What is this? Forevermore. Hark the Raven, Forevermore. I know that's not it, but that'll run you about $35. The Megadeth is about $27, so not too bad on the Megadeth record. The Whitesnake is a 2 LP. It is the record from, what is this, 2010? If memory serves, maybe 2010 this record came out. So there you go. It looks like it's a gatefold as well. So nice packaging on that. And David Coverdale, he loves to unzip. He loves that joke. And it's got a couple of unzipped tracks on it as well, some extras on the record. So not too shabby. I know that Disney movies are always popular. I guess this was a Pixar movie. Was this a Pixar or Disney, or maybe it's both? Anyways, Tangled is getting a vinyl release on a Zoetrope picture disc. I figured I'd mention it because, once again, Fridays are usually kind of quiet in the neighborhood. It's like Mr. Rogers. Oh, I saw a Mr. Rogers picture the other day on social media, hanging out with, who the hell was he hanging out with? It was just, I think it was Bob Ross, maybe. Oh, no, he was wearing a Bob Ross, the painter guy shirt. And he was hanging out with somebody. I got to find that picture here. Let me see. Mr. Rogers, Bob Ross. I've gone down a rabbit hole here. Where is it? Oh, yeah, Steve Irwin. So the picture's with Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, and Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers is wearing the, oh, there it is right there. All right, so let me find it here. Let me grab it over here. And Tangled, I appreciate. So Tangled comes out August 29th. It's $34. Zoetrope, very nice. 2LP Zoetrope, very sexy. But is it as sexy as this? Let me drop this bad boy in there. Boom. There it is right there. Nice, huh? Steve Irwin. I love Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. And I was very disappointed when unfortunately he lost his life to that stingray, man. That sucked. That sucked. Anyways, but Mr. Rogers, and then Good Vibes Only with Bob Ross. So there you go. I had to feature that because I'm nuts. And then finally, this was announced today: the Zombies putting out one of their classic records on kind of a cool looking vinyl. What would that be, like a light purple? I'm not good with colors. I'm not good with colors at all. But yeah, the Zombies and Odyssey Oracle. I guess that's what it is. And that's going to run you what? That comes out September 26th as well for about $26. So not too shabby in my humble opinion. All right. Let's see. Anything else going on in the chat? Oh, Beat After Beat. New World Man and Signals. Very nice. I agree with that. I always like Megadeth a little more than Metallica. You know, I think that's why in some ways I do as well. But the more I get back into Metallica in recent years, the more I realize that, damn, that's some good stuff too, man. And I wish we'd get reissues of those Megadeth records because so many of the Megadeth records are impossible to find, you know, especially that 90s stuff. It's so expensive because it was never released in the US. It's just insane. But yeah, in the 90s, man, I did love Load and Reload. I mean, the Black album is a good record. And then of course I just love the Covers record in Garage Inc. I think that is a fabulous record. Other than Turn to Page, I'm just not a big fan of that song. Never been a big fan of that song by Bob Seger. Whatever is what it is. But everything else on that record is so good. But then the studio albums from Megadeth are just tip top. So there you go. Cool. All right. A reminder that we're going to be live starting on YouTube starting September 23rd. So if you go over, hit subscribe on YouTube at Rock This Town Records, that would be super cool. So some concert announcements. Lita Ford, October 3rd. This is actually a pretty good venue, man. You got not venue, a pretty good bill. You got Lita Ford. Nice. Obviously, she's back in the zeitgeist a little bit with Close My Eyes Forever with Ozzy Osbourne. So that's cool. Dee Snider or Snyder. I never can say that right. Schneider or Schneider or Snyder. Is it Snyder? No, it's Schneider. I don't know. I never. Anyways, regardless, Dee, Twisted Sister, man. The guy that rocks. That's all. All we need to know is that Dee is the coolest cat in any room he goes into. That's all I got to say. And then Firehouse as well. So not too shabby if you're loving yourself some 80s. And yeah, there you go. That's coming up October 3rd. And I have no idea where that is. Who the hell puts out a promo and doesn't say where it is? Oh my God. Let me see if I can figure out what city this is in. This is ridiculous. Lita Ford tour dates. Let's see. Lita Ford online. All right, Lita. This is a website that has been around for probably a long time. October 3rd, St. Charles. Oh, there you go. Missouri, St. Charles, Missouri. So St. Charles, Missouri is closest to, let's check out a map here and see what city, if it's closer to Kansas City or if it's closer to St. Louis. We shall see. St. Charles, because I don't really know St. Charles that well. It is a suburb of St. Louis. So there you go. Very nice. Hey, Herver. There you go. Very nice. Thanks for hanging out. All right, cool. So there you go. Friday, October 3rd. Dee, Lita, and Firehouse doing it up in style in St. Louis. We're just going to call it. So there you go. 311. I think this concert poster is pretty cool. They're going out on the road with Bad Flower. Actually, they're currently out on the road. That is some tiny tour dates. But yeah, they're on the road right now. And of course, they're on the Madden soundtrack, as mentioned earlier. 311, baby, down. I love that song. There was a great performance of 311 on, what is it? It's on YouTube. They're playing at the Guitar Center. I don't know. It's probably from 10 years ago, maybe longer, but it's so good. They sound so tight. So if you ever get a chance to, and you're thinking about 311 for whatever reason while you're watching YouTube, search for 311 down Guitar Center. The performance is spectacular. It's great. Corn. This is actually coming up pretty quick now. This is we're 3 weeks away. Yeah, 3 weeks away. System of a Down and Corn in New York at MetLife Stadium for 2 shows. 1 show not enough. 2 shows, baby. Come on now. And apparently, I'm not sure. The first show definitely sold out. The second show maybe is sold out by now. But yeah. I dig System of a Down and Corn. I'm not allowed to bring Corn into the house. Jen's not a fan of Corn or Limp Bizkit, but I'll listen to some Corn in the car when I'm out driving alone. So there you go. Very nice. All right, cool. And then finally, have you ever seen Bachman Turner Overdrive? Because I've seen Bachman Turner Overdrive. I saw him open for Van Halen on the 5150 tour. And they're still doing it, baby. 40 years later, they were like an old band in 1986, and 40 years later, they're still doing it. How old is Randy Bachman now? Let's do a search on that. I love searching for stuff and finding out information. It's fabulous. It's simply fabulous. Randy Bachman. Any guesses on the age? Assuming you haven't looked it up. Jen's always really good at this. So Randy Bachman will be. Wait for it. I'll tell you in a second. Anyways, they're out on the road currently. They're in a little bit of a downtime now, but they are playing Fort McDowell here in Arizona. Nice. Little Albuquerque date. Oh, St. Charles, Missouri again. Very nice. All right. Maybe the same venue as Lita and Dee. Let's see. They got Lincoln, California. I'm not familiar with Lincoln, California. I was thinking Lincoln, Nebraska. Washington, D.C., Atlantic City, Greensboro. There you go. Beat after beat says Randy Bachman is in his 70s. So you are close, very close, but he will be 82 this year. A lot of these guys, man, they're still out there doing it in their 80s. It's crazy. Like Ian Hunter from Mott the Hoople, Randy Bachman. What I mean, the whole Rolling Stones. Look at or Paul McCartney as well too, right? I mean, Mick Jagger is how old is Mick Jagger going to be now? My God, Mick is 82 as well. So there you go. Not too shabby indeed. So if you're digging the show and you're listening to it on, on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever, boom, make sure you tell a friend about the show. It would be wonderful. I would appreciate it deeply. And then also make sure you smash the like button. Smash the like button, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. And our friend Beat After Beat already did that. So very nice. Yeah, everybody's getting old, man. My mom had me when she was like 39. Okay. So I had a little bit of an older mom growing up. But she was the youngest of 10 kids. So I have like cousins that are 30 years older than me that are in their 80s. It's like, holy moly. And then my aunts and uncles, I'm growing up, all my aunts and uncles seem old to me because they were. And then by the time I'm 25, I'm like, geez, when I was a kid, you were old. Now I'm still old, or now they're still old, but now I'm old as well. So it's just like, oh my God. All my uncles and aunts are gone now. So they're in the great Peterson pie in the sky. So not too shabby. My vinyl of the day. All right. There it is. Have the copy. Got this the other day. This is Trixter, autographed by PJ Farley right there, and then Steve Brown right there of Trixter. My friends in Trixter, specifically Steve Brown, calls this their Dark Side of the Moon. He calls this their Sergeant Pepper. He calls this their Hysteria, and he also calls this their Slippery When Wet. So I know Jen is a big fan of this record. The first record she has, we have the comic book as well, which is incredibly hard to find. The comic book is in pristine condition. And then this one has been long out of print, 35th anniversary of it. Rocking Horse is actually a really good song. If I had to recommend a song off of the record, and I know Jen would recommend this song as well, it would be the Trixter record. Boom, this one. That bad boy. And it would be Rocking Horse. It's kind of a gateway into the album. So 35th anniversary. I got to take it to take my friends in Trixter to task a little bit because they're kind of self-publishing this, which I appreciate it. But they need to get better shipping boxes for the vinyl records because there is like a crease down here in the lower right-hand corner, unfortunately. So that would be my only nitpick, that there ended up being a crease. And it is what it is. Steve, PJ, if you're watching, 2 words. Whiplash. I guess that's only 1 word. Whiplash mailers are actually good. Your mailers that you used, they were crap. But everything else about this is fantastic. The color vinyl is amazing. The inserts are beautiful. Look at that. Pictures, 4 pictures. Oh, I got them backward there. Let's try this. There you go. Boom and boom. Where's my arm? I never know where my arm is. Where's my other arm? There's my other arm. I don't know what I'm doing here. The camera's backward for me. So it's bizarre. Anyway, so very nice. Who are we missing from there? Because apparently Steve and PJ have kind of fallen out. Pete Lauren, rather, sorry. And then the drummer is, I can't read the text. They have decided to put red text on blue ink. So, well, the drummer will not get any love from me today. So, not because he's not fantastic, but because I am hard of seeing, as they say. I am eyesight challenged. There you go. All right, let me see if I can open this up. So Jennifer's like, he's taking it out of the packaging. No, don't do that. It's my baby. So there you go. That is Trixter here. Rocking Horse is your research. So there you go. 57. I'm almost going to catch up to you beat after beat. So there you go. I'm like a year behind you. So not too shabby. It is a very cool Trixter record. So there you go. So what did we learn today? We learned that Van Halen have been gone 10 years off of the stage. Oh, we also learned that Belinda Carlisle, lovely young lady who thinks that young artists, especially female artists of the day, are being sexualized, and she is 100% correct there. But that is kind of, it's always been the entertainment industry, and I guess it's gotten worse over the last 20, 30 years. And we've also learned that Bachman Turner Overdrive were old in 1986, but they're still doing it in 2025. So congratulations to Bachman Turner Overdrive. And then we also learned that Rush is, where did that Rush? Oh, yeah, that's right. I moved are supposed to be redoing The Office tomorrow. So hopefully that'll come to pass. But I moved the Rush poster that David Dolman gave us for the record store, and he told us to keep it. So I definitely want to honor that with the on the wall back here. So very nice. I think that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. This show is in the book, baby. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Back here on Monday to talk more rock and heavy music, as Ozzy would say. And I got nothing else. Cool. Thanks for hanging out. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Take care.